Hello, YTPC. Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here. Today we're going to talk about pipe materials. But first, in a absolutely lovely grained pipe by Lee billiard, I've got some Cornell and Deal Burley Flake number 3. Now this is similar in composition to Haunted Bookshop and Old Joe Krantz, if I understand it correctly, except that it has some Dark-Fired Kentucky tossed in. That's tasty stuff. But if you're one of those types who doesn't like Burleys, you probably won't like this. The Hungary PHILLIP pipe channel is celebrating 100 sub with a gaw. His question, or his ask, is for us to discuss our experience with 3 pipe materials. I'm not going to do a show and tell because y'all know what these things look like. And I'm not going to try and describe the properties of the materials because pipe makers can do that much better than I can. But my experience has been with Merschaum, Cobs, and Briars, like many of you. Well, let's go with Merschaum first because I've only got, well, I've got 2. I've got one that's a tasting pipe, but I've got one Merschaum that I smoke regularly. And true to reputation, it doesn't appear to ghost. I've smoked aromatics and Englishes and Burleys and vapors, and it doesn't seem to matter what follows what. I don't taste the previous bowl. What I haven't tried yet, I haven't done any Lakeland type blends because I only have one mirror and I really don't want to ghost it. But it does smoke relatively cool. I seem to get pure flavors from it, and it is noticeable, the difference in taste sometimes between smoking something in that mirror and smoking it in a cob or a briar. The reputation is deserved for, not ghosting and letting you taste just the tobacco. Now, Cobs and Briars, well, I love my Cobs. Since I'm a Burley type, I don't really notice any cob flavor from most of what I put through my Cobs. I suppose if you can taste sweet corn when you're smoking Haunted Bookshop, you've got a more delicate palate than I do. Now, maybe you can taste corn if what you're trying to smoke is, a light Virginia and the corn is competing with the Virginia or something. I don't know, but I tend to smoke stronger, harsher blends. Nothing gentle or nuanced. I don't notice any difference. Now, something else that I do like for my Cobs is most of my Cobs take a 6mm filter. Well, I happen to like balsa filters. Some people don't. But if I'm smoking a Burley blend, I don't throw a filter in there. But for aromatics, I tell you, having that filter in there absorbs a lot of goop. I'm not worried about the health benefit of using the filter, but it just seems to absorb a lot of gunk without affecting the flavor. I like that. Lets me smoke some of the goopier aromatics that my wife likes and still enjoy them without a lot of bite. So that would be my experience with Cobs. Now, Briars, almost all of my Briars are estate pipe by Lee that haven't been made in at least 50 years. None of my pipe by Lees have been unsmoked when I received them. In fact, some of them had the snot smoked out of them. Likewise, I don't think any of them had been reamed all the way back to bare wood. So they all had at least a little bit of carbon protection. So it's been a long time since I've had to break in a pipe. For the most part, when I get these briars, it's clean them and go. Now, I have noticed that things can ghost briar. So I don't have any dedicated pipes to Lakelands yet. I do, for example, like 1792 Flake and Bob's Chocolate. But I haven't noticed those two particular blends ghosting my pipes either. So I'm not worried about it yet. That day may come. But I have found that if I smoke a non-aromatic after an aromatic, I can still taste the aromatic. So what I've done, I in addition to my pipe by Lees, I also collect briar leaves. But I have far fewer of them. And so my briar Lee line as a group are dedicated to aromatics. I just don't smoke anything else in them. And now, I haven't had any problem, following a cherry aromatic with a raspberry or creme brulee or anything like that. I haven't noticed that type of cross arrow ghosting, at least not yet. So in terms of dedicating pipes, yes, I do that with those particular briars. But yeah, I don't have a lot of experience breaking in pipes. I've only had a handful of new pipes. But the briars that I have anyway come in such a wider variety than my Cobs in terms of bowl geometry, both depth and chamber diameter, chamber shape, conical versus cylindrical, that sort of thing. That I do prefer flakes in tall bowls. Well, I do have a couple of tall Cobs, but those things are ridiculously tall and they really work much better with burleys. And like some of you, I like Englishes in a wide bowl, and I don't have any wide bowled Cobs, but I do have a couple of wide bowled pipe by Lee, and those work really well. So I don't really dedicate, but there are sometimes pipes that I reach for. But most of my English blends are of the Pirate Cake, Star of the East, Lat Bomb type, not terribly nuanced. So for most of them, it does not matter a bit what I smoke them in. They're just smack you in the face strong. I would like to get an olive wood. There are some other materials. I'd like to get a Morta. I'd like to try some of the Missouri Merschaum hardwood, just to try them. I do have one pipe that I suspect may be pecan, but that's the worst garbage pipe I've ever owned, and it has nothing to do with the material, so I wouldn't even begin to evaluate pecan wood based on that pipe. Yeah, so there are some other clays. I would like to have a clay. I don't have one yet, just to try it. Interesting question. I appreciate you asking. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody else's responses to see what they think of different materials. I know we have a couple of briar snobs out there who would never smoke a corn cob even if it were the last pipe on the planet. Bunch of Eeyores. It'll be interesting to see their responses anyway. So if you haven't checked the Hungary Phillip out, his link will be down below. 100 subs. Let's get him up above that. Encourage him to keep making videos for us. With that, folks, light something you like. Enjoy that afternoon.